everyone, welcome to my channel, and this is my very first live stream on her bike. So today it's a special day. Oh, hold on guys, I just need to, I've got slightly technical issues. Okay, I've got this now, I got this. So we're gonna wait for people to gather. How many of you waiting? 108 people watching. Awesome. Thank you guys for joining. So today we'll be talking about safety, and tonight 4 badass ADV women riders will be joining me, and there will be, okay, this is time for intro. Oh shit, hold on, I forgot to back up glasses. Okay, I was so prepared for this. All right, okay, you guys ready? Leah from Germany. There she is. Woo.
Hello.
Egle from Lithuania.
What are you doing? Hello.
Hey, you're there. Sinje from Germany, or wherever she is now, no one knows. Where is she? Hold on. Sinje, I got you. There she is. And we are waiting for Nora. She's got slight technical issues at the moment, but I'm sure she's going to join us very, very soon. Okay, hold on. This is my intro. I'm done with this. Oh, no, hold on. I had one more thing. Wait. Metallica's got nothing on me. And me. That was my finale. All right, time to be casual. Girls, today we're talking about safety. And this is our, hold on, how's my hair? It's good? Okay. Hold on, I'm just gonna turn off all the special effects that I've just learned today how to do it. Okay, good. We are stable and all good. And I can see the comments. So guys, comment, please. I'll try to get my head around the comments. So girls, this is our third meeting. And we've discussed this because we've covered how to finance it, and we've discussed most common questions. But today we'll be focusing on safety, because I think you agree with me. One of the most common questions people ask us is, are you scared to travel alone, right? Like, people ask you everywhere about this, right? Oh, what happened? Sinje's gone. Can you hear me?
Sinje is gone because she was too scared of this chat.
Yeah.
She didn't like my intro, you reckon? It was so rock and roll, come on. All right, she's back.
Sorry.
Sinje, you're there?
I'm here, yeah. I can hear you.
Okay,
I'll
that's
go it. Sorry.
Okay, so girls, are you scared to travel by yourself? Sinje,
I'm not.
you first.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I didn't hear anything you said before, but if
the question is, are you scared to travel by yourself?
No, why would I?
Exactly, right. Egle.
I have to go with no as well, and it doesn't just apply to motorcycles. Like, before bikes, I was backpacking and things like that, hitchhiking all over Europe, and no, I was never scared to travel solo. No.
Leah.
I was actually, I think, never really scared to travel solo, but I think there is this moment when you go on your first solo trip. And for me, that was not with a bike, that was actually as well backpacking. And that for me was a moment where I was like, I think that was my journey to Iran. That was like, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago. And I was just like, what the hell am I doing? When I was sitting at the airport in Qatar, and it was middle of the night, and somehow it all felt like very strange, and you have nobody to share things with. And so there I didn't feel that good. And then when I overcame this first fear, I realized, hey, there's nothing scary about traveling alone.
Yeah, for sure. But now this question is for you, Leah, because you've done your round the world trip by yourself, solo, and now you're back on the road with your partner. Tell me, what's the difference? Do you actually feel safer, or it feels the same, or would you recommend people to go with a partner or without? Like, what's your experience? Because you got to, from, like, now Nora is not here, we would ask her the same question, but 3 of us, we continue to travel solo, but you decided to, hop on the road with your partner. What's the difference for you?
Actually, I think it's not so much the safety that makes a huge difference or the feeling of being safe. For me, it's both very different kinds of traveling. When you're alone, you really have to go out, you have to meet people. I think you as well meet more people because you if you don't want to be alone, you have to get to know people. If you're traveling with a partner, you're always like this little bubble. So you don't necessarily need to engage other people because you always have someone you can share things with. But overall, it didn't. I mean, I don't think I feel more safe. Hello,
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Nora.
So I don't think I feel more safe or more unsafe traveling with a partner. I just think it's two different ways, and I think it's both great, traveling alone and traveling with a partner, and I think I will as well. So I actually would have gone back to Africa alone for the next stage. The problem was that then Corona came, so I couldn't do that. But I think it's just both great ways. But for me, it doesn't, from safety reasons, it doesn't.
You by yourself or you feel safe either way.
Yeah, exactly.
Nora, what about you? We've been talking about the difference between, because only really you and Leah can tell us the difference. What's the difference between traveling solo and traveling with a partner in terms of safety? Do you allow yourself? Do you allow yourself to go to take the risks?
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely a big difference for me, that we take more risk in a way because you have the backup.
You got each other, right? So
yeah, exactly. So you always, when one motorcycle breaks down, you can always just hop on the back of the other one and just get yourself to safety and figure it out, you know.
I agree. You know, when I'm traveling with people, this is actually the only time when I get injured and I break my legs when I'm traveling with people, because I just go stupid. I just thought, oh, wow, this is like, I don't need to do anything anymore. Like, I mean, I don't have to be safe anymore. I don't have to think about this. But when I'm traveling by myself, I do not take the risks. If there is a risk and I'm thinking, okay, I'll go that way, maybe there's possibility of me injuring myself because I'm going to take this road because it's muddy. No, I'm not going there. But if I would be with the guys, like, you know, like some people join me for a week or two here and there in Africa, and then I'll be going anywhere, like no matter what. Like that road looks good, muddy, doesn't matter. We got each other, so it's the help is there. So you're really not by yourself, but you're very conservative when you're traveling by yourself. And I think it's a good thing to have being smart about it. Do not take the risk when you're by yourself, and that will keep you out of trouble. And do you guys agree with me that it's really you, like how you prevent, you know, how you protect yourself? Like, it's just, you have to listen to your guts. Hey, there's no rule really. Like, you learn things on the road, and then you just deal with stuff. But you know, until the risk is there, really there's nothing you can do. But there are just this procedures to put in place. Is it worth going? Maybe not. For me, it's always not. I don't know. I've teach myself, and I'm so strict. If my brain goes, you know, when you have a yellow light at the traffic lights, right? If I'm by myself, I will stop. If I'm with someone, I will just go. This is the difference from me riding with someone and riding by myself. Do you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like, I don't know about you, but there even have been a few times where I thought, am I gonna do it? Am I not gonna? Okay, I'm just gonna do it. And then 5 kilometers in, I was like, do you know what? No, I'm just gonna turn around and go back. It's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I've got a new question. Do you guys follow the questions? Wszystkim gaca tam. Super. A u was? Hi from the other side. Hi, Mariusz. What is your opinion about the Yaz? I love Yaz.
I love Yaz too. It's a beautiful city.
Agreed.
Okay. Now, Egle, question to you. What are the biggest risks during traveling? What do you think? What are the biggest risks? Like, when you're in danger, if you are in danger, at which situations?
I guess for me is the off-road part. So when I'm riding alone, I will ride, I guess, you know, you kind of just covered it. Like, when you're alone, you maybe will be a little more cautious about things when it comes to off-road riding, especially if it's a remote area. and you know that if something happened to you, nobody would find you for hours or even days. And so when I'm in that kind of a setting, like some of the parts in the Andes are pretty remote. So you see this off-road trail, looks awesome, but like Nora just said, maybe you'll think twice. And then if you do ride it, you will ride it more conservatively. You're not gonna just go full gas, right? You're just kind of, you're gonna make sure you're watching out for yourself. Whereas this is kind of part of why I'm doing rallies now and all this racing stuff, because you have all this medical staff on standby, all this, like there's so many people, so you can really like challenge yourself and really open the throttle. But if you're alone somewhere in the mountains, it's a sketchy looking trail, you're gonna ride slower, you're gonna be more conservative with your riding, that kind of thing. Other than that, I know that people are mostly curious, not about off-road riding or riding in general, but like, isn't it dangerous in terms of other people and things like that? So in terms of risks like that, honestly, there were only very, very few moments where I did feel insecure. And to this day, I don't know if that was really a dangerous situation or not. I just had this gut feeling that it was somehow sketchy and I just wanted to get out of there. But that's the beauty of having a bike. Yeah, if you feel it's not right, you get on your bike and you get out of there, and you put some distance between whatever situation or people and you, and that's it.
This is the advantage of being on a bike or being a backpacker or being on a bicycle, because we meet people like this all the time, right? And I think it's so much safer to ride a motorcycle because you can get out of there. Like you start your bike and you go, right? On a bicycle, it's not like you run away from anyone, or being a backpacker, you completely just, that's it. You can't run away at all. So yeah, that's a big difference. And I agree with that. What about you girls? Any thoughts? What's the most dangerous situations for you personally when you think about it? What are the biggest risks?
Traffic. Fuck, man. The amount of times that I've been overtaken.
Iran is still it's like the worst traffic in the whole world. Iran, I think, and Cairo. Okay, to look like Cairo, not whole Egypt, but Cairo.
I mean, there is some Asian traffic I can handle, piece of cake. It's a bit more flowy than European traffic, but there are just some crazy people out there. Especially for me, it was really Pakistan, for example, where it was super dangerous, especially in the mountains where people were just like cars, trucks, everybody, inshallah. And we just take the inside corner. Don't care, can't see, don't care, inshallah, So you just had to be so careful, taking every single hairpin that, I don't know, the risk of getting hit by a truck is always the biggest risk anywhere.
Yeah. What about you, Sinje?
I was just thinking about what you guys said, because yes, I totally agree that riding solo, you have to be more conscious about what could happen, and you have to be more careful and everything. But for myself, I was really conscious and careful throughout the whole journey, and then towards the end, I got a little bit more risky or stupid, either way. And that's when something happened, and I got in a really difficult, like seriously dangerous situation. But that was basically only because of my wrong decision making. And what you just talked about, I went off-road and I crashed several times. And then at one point I just couldn't lift the bike anymore because it was too heavy. I didn't have any energy and everything. No one was there. So that was kind of a different stage of, how dangerous this can get. But that was only towards the end of my journey. So I kind of got too risky and it was my own fault. So,
yeah. And Leah?
For me, it's actually mostly myself who puts myself in danger. It's first, when I went on the road trip, I had basically zero bike skills. So I was just like, yeah, whatever. I didn't even think about that sand could be difficult on a motorcycle, because I was just like, I didn't know that it could be difficult on a motorcycle. So I just went. And that is, of course, very dangerous if you have no clue about your skills or your lack of skills. And I think the second thing that I still sometimes struggle with is taking care about myself, like drinking enough and staying hydrated and eating enough, getting some calories every now and then when you're on the road. So I guess
That's
that's
yourself.
some of the most dangerous things, because I think even, especially when I was now in West Africa, you don't realize how much you sweat and how much your body really loses, and how
Yeah, for
tense
sure.
you are as well.
Are you
and how
traveling with a
concentrated.
camel tank now? With a water bladder?
I'm not.
Or no?
I'm
No?
not. I somehow no, because I always think like I always was thinking about getting one, but then I thought I don't know. I still like to stop every now and then, and I think if I had
You
one,
will
I would
stop
never
eventually
stop.
anyway. Don't worry about it. But it's like, I don't know. Do you guys travel with a water pack?
Yeah,
No,
definitely. Yeah.
Leah doesn't. I don't know how she's doing it. I would have to stop every 5
you're all
minutes.
traveling with a camelback.
No, I don't have one. I don't.
Really? How you drink? I'm addicted to water when I'm traveling. I have to drink water all the time. If it's not there, I'm panicking. I'm like, I can't ride.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Leah.
So then you
Room
can
for
probably why we
improvement
get
there.
dehydrated.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
think also with the dehydration stuff, it's actually really smart to keep your jackets and pants closed as much as possible. Because if you have the mesh jackets, you allow your body to keep evaporating sweat.
That's true.
Whereas if you wear the closed jacket, you keep wet. Yes, you're super sweaty and it's gross.
Yeah, but
you don't keep producing sweat,
Mm.
so you dehydrate less. Yeah, less quickly.
I have actually a very useful thing. I don't wear it too often, but only when it gets like super, super hot. It's called a cooling vest, which you put in water for, I don't know, like 10 minutes before you take off, and then you put it on and it evaporates, so it keeps you cool, and you're not sweating so much because it keeps you cool. And it's as well, I mean, as long as you drive and as long as you have ventilation through mesh jacket, it really makes a huge difference. But it's actually so cold that I can only wear it like, I don't know, 36 degrees or 37 degrees plus, because otherwise I get too cold. So this is really for like super hot weather, but that for me is very useful to have, and as well good to know that worst case I can put this on.
Okay, we've covered that. So sorry, because I'm like trying to reply into comments. This is all new to me. I don't know how Nora, how are you doing? This is like.
I have a baby. I'm good at multitasking these days.
Okay. Do you carry any weapon? Pepper spray?
No.
Kitchen knife?
No.
Nothing?
I had a pepper spray at the first trip.
You did? Did you use
I
it?
don't know. I think I told this story to somebody, but I had pepper spray on my first trip, and I had to buy it in Germany because it's illegal in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And at first, I had it like always in my motorcycle pocket. I always had it super close with me. And the longer I was traveling, the further it kept moving away from that pocket, maybe into the tank bag, and then to the bottom of the tank bag. And then I was like, well, I kind of need that space, so maybe it could just go into the backpack. And then it went into the roll bag, you know?
Yeah.
And then you have to have it with you, because otherwise it's useless.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
then-
You have to have it with you. What about you, girl?
And at one point,
You did?
I
Use
was
it?
no, I was couch surfing at a small family in Kazakhstan, and they had 2 twin boys, and they were around 10 or 11, I think. And when I wasn't there, they went through my stuff and found the pepper spray, and they thought it was perfume. So they thought the one twin thought it was funny to spray it in the face of the other kid. And then the guy was outside, and he heard the boys scream their ass off as if, their face was on fire. So that's the only time it got used. They were fine. I hope they just learned their lesson to not go through the stuff of other people. But So after that, I never used.
You had Jojo.
Now I have a muscular-looking man.
What about you, girls? Do you carry any pepper spray with you?
No.
You know, my story with this is I didn't, and now I do. But I remember when I was leaving for my round-the-world trip, and I met my mate, Steve, he literally completed a trip from UK to Australia, and I was hosting him. Similar time when I was hosting you, Leah, as well in Sydney. That was sort of similar time, and he'd done this trip, And I go to him, Steve, do you have any weapon? Do you like? And he's ex-military or something. The guy knows, right? He goes to me, Kinga, if you're thinking about carrying weapon for a trip like this, maybe you shouldn't be doing this trip anyway. Like, just don't do it if you think you need it. I'm like, fair enough. The guy done it. He didn't have anything. I'm not taking anything. And you know what? I really, really, until I'm 3 years on the road, and the only bad situation I got myself into were on the first part of my trip, the 6 months, the 3 times in Mongolia, once in Azerbaijan, and literally I was hoping to have that pepper spray with me, but I didn't. And of course, you've got the knife to cut the vegetables, whatever, at the bottom of the pannier with all the, cooking stuff and stuff like that. I never had anything in my tent. I never had anything on me and really, there were such close situations where I was really frightened for my safety, and I wished I had it. So then I've changed my mind. When I finally, arrived to Europe, my mom bought me like that big pepper spray, so I can have it exactly anywhere. So I have it always in my pocket, and now I have a really good Leah drinking thing, like a backpack. I can have it here because it's so tiny. When I got to South Africa, I actually have got like this one and bigger one for the tank. Like, I don't know, maybe because it's so available everywhere. It's like, oh, this is legal here. So it's just like I buy one here. But it's not necessarily for people, and I've never had to use it. But it's just like maybe because of those bad experiences that I had. And I think sometimes you need it in some situations, even to prevent yourself from animals, whatever. So I think it's pepper spray for a woman. It's not a bad thing. Because there were situations where I really wished I had it, but I didn't. So I think it's our personal choice, isn't it? And if it makes you confident, take it. If it doesn't, don't worry about it, right?
I think that's the best approach to it. Yeah.
Cool.
I do feel though that somebody commented just now saying, well, what if you're facing a weapon, or like what if locals hassle you, stuff like that. And I just have a feeling that having a knife or whatever just probably wouldn't help, because your best defense is usually de-escalation and trying to talk your way out of a bad situation and stuff like that. So I never carried anything except for my loyal spork. And I don't think I'll ever carry anything, not even pepper spray. But yeah, it's totally personal choice. If it makes you feel better, definitely. And again, there might be situations where, it might come handy. Like, I don't know. I haven't faced one yet. But it's totally personal choice. And I think in the end, it's not a knife or a pepper spray that's probably going to save you. It's probably your ability to react, listen to your gut feeling, and try to, again, to de-escalate and talk to people and try to reach out for help. Or, of course, maybe, it's easy for me to talk because I have never faced a situation like that. I've never been attacked or anything like that. So, but then I've been on the road for almost 7 years now, and nothing's happened. So I'm kind of, I don't know, I have enough confidence or trust in the world that hopefully it'll just continue like that. And I never actually experienced hassle from locals. I don't know. Have you guys experienced any kind of
Mongolia all the time. Okay. I don't want to even mention Mongolia. Mongolia was just like, but anyway, guys, I just wanted to say you are all beautiful, but Sinje, wow.
Yes, I saw it.
Wow. And Egle, looking hot. Hey.
Yeah, because that's what we're here for. Sure.
Have you ever, girls? Okay, so now we're touching my really sensitive subject of Mongolia and all the memories coming back. Have you ever were in a situation where you thought you're gonna be raped? Is this your biggest fear? Because for me, it is. If they kill you, they kill you. You're dead. That's it. I just hope I'm not going to be in pain. But if they're going to rape me, this is like my biggest of the biggest fears on the road. And this is the situation where I'm always think about it. I need to prevent myself from this situation. And I put factors in. And that's why I'm not taking risks. What about you guys? Have you ever been in a situation where you thought, fuck, I'm just going to get raped now? No? That's so good.
Close. But once I was staying in a hotel in Pakistan, and there was like 2 other maybe 18-year-olds staying there and nobody else. And the owner was this big fat old guy, and he had his employee with him, and at one we were just sitting with everybody in the restaurant chatting, and then he sends the young boys away and he says, go away or something in Pakistan, in Urdu, and they leave. And then he just asks me, like, can we have sex? Something like this. I'm like, no. And don't ask me again. And then he keeps asking me like a few more times, can we have sex? I'm like, fuck no. Why would you think that that is appropriate? He was just telling me about his wife and whatnot. Yeah. I'm like, how in his mind is this right? And then I just thought, okay, I'm not going to leave.
Exactly like this, yeah.
I'm going to leave, but yeah, I'm sleeping on the roof in my tent. No, there's no guarantee that he's not gonna come up tonight and decide that it is his right to do this, you know. So yeah, not a great night, let's call it like that. But I was lucky, and he respected my refusal in that sense.
I was in a situation when I thought, okay, like close to raping twice. Once in Mongolia, okay, like the guys tried to kiss me. Okay, you just like, whatever, I'll deal with it. The guy throw stones at me. Okay, I'll deal with it. But at the end of the road, when I like the third, river crossing to cross, and like I could not any go further. And then this guy on a horse in Mongolia, he helped me out, and he just got me like for half an hour. I was just dropping my bike, and he took me to the bushes, and I literally he undressed himself, and he said, "You and I gonna be sleeping here." And I couldn't. That was a trap. Like that's where I got it. Like. Took me into a trap. I cannot get out. I need his help to get out, right? And I started crying because I was on the edge of like Mongolia. It was just like 1 month in Mongolia. I had it up to there. And I was just like, no, like, please let help me out and get me out of here. I'll pay you. And if you have the money,
spend it.
Right? It's like, okay, how much are you going to pay me? Okay, it's like he undressed himself and all. Anyway, he got me out of there another half an hour to get out of those bushes because he was just like really deep, like just shit. Everything was just shit. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the details. I literally took this money and I shoved it at his face. I'm like, get out of here. Like, I don't want to see you ever again. So that was close, but it wasn't really like, I felt like I'm still a little bit in control. Like he was trying, but he was not putting, it was not still super dangerous. But when it was like, really close, when I thought this is it and there is really not much I can do. I exited Iran and I went into Azerbaijan, and I thought, it was so hot. I couldn't swim, like in Iran, you can't really swim on the beaches, and it was so hot. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go to the lake and just have a swim in the lake. I just, once I get to Azerbaijan, and I found this like remote lake, there was no one there. But there was this one guy who was sitting on the side of the road and he was making tea, and he chased me. And of course I bought a beer, first thing I did in Azerbaijan, I bought myself a beer after, 1 month of not drinking in Iran. And, I'll open it, and he came to me and started talking to me in Russian. So I started talking to him. I was very friendly. And that's the thing. Just sometimes you cannot just sometimes zip it and just say English only. And they just don't feel connection with you. And he was saying he lives here, 3 kids, wife, and whatever. And like literally, like he opened his door to his car. It's like, no, maybe you don't want to sleep in a tent. Maybe you want to sleep here with me. I'm like, get the fuck out of here to your wife. Like I got really upset. Anyway, I got him out, but I went to my tent and there's literally no one. He was the only person that knew I'm there in this like dry out lake. And there was no one around, absolutely no one. And I'm like in my tent watching movies, as I do. It was already dark, and I can see 2 guys are coming down and then they're flashing. So I like close my laptop, and 2 guys they surrounded my tent, and I'm thinking, oh my fucking God, this is it. Like I can't get out of that. Like in the middle of the night, he brought a guy, his friend. Why would he brought another friend? And I think there was opportunity, but they just weren't brave enough to do it. You know what I mean? And I was like, literally, I couldn't even put my pants on because I was trying not to move. I was literally so I had tent where it was like openings on both sides, and I was like this, and I'm thinking, where's my knife? On the bottom of the pony. I had nothing. I couldn't even put my shoes on. And I'm thinking, okay, I know the terrain. If they're gonna unzip this side, I'm just gonna unzip that and just run into the forest as fast as I can. I had it all like planned out, right? And they were like whistling and talking and asking me to get out, and I was just quiet. And they went. But that was so close. Of course, they came for one thing. Why would you came, bother a woman in the middle of the night? So that was scary. And then I thought I need a pepper spray, something for situations like this, because I made very big mistake. This guy knew where I was. So normally, out of sight, out of mind. If they can't see you, they can't hurt you, and that's my my policy. This is how I pick my wild camping, but sometimes it's just not possible. This was just this one guy on the side of the road making tea. Like, come on, like we're in the middle of nowhere. And that could cause a lot of, that could destroy my life really and my everything. So what about you, Nora? I know, Nora, you love wild camping. How do you, now you're traveling with Georgia, so of course it's a little bit different, but when you travel by yourself, how do you pick spots? Out of sight, out of mind?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I will turn around as soon as I see somebody on my lost and lonely track. I'm like, nope, I'm out of here. Gonna try a new spots. And every time I pass a village, I try to ride for at least 5 minutes till I don't see anything anymore. But it really depends on the area, if it's even possible or not.
Yeah,
like India, forget it.
It's really hard to
find a
spot in any country. Oh, okay, maybe Ethiopia, forget about it, right?
Impossible.
Tanzania, okay, it's remote, and I guess Botswana and like all the remote ones, but Kenya and just people everywhere, like everywhere. You're thinking by yourself, like give it 15 minutes, there will be someone, right? Yeah, it's very hard. What about you girls? Do you wild camp? Sinje, do you do wild camping?
Yeah, I do wild camp. Actually, if I camp, I only wild camp. I don't go on, specific camping spots. And I do exactly what you said. I only camp when I'm 100% sure that no one saw that I'm gonna stay there, that I went that way. And if someone knows, I just don't camp by myself. But I have to say, I mostly stayed in hostels or hotels, or stayed families that invite them somewhere on the road.
What about you, Egle?
Funny, but I had two situations where I thought, okay, this is gonna go really, really wrong any minute, and they both did not include camping. Whenever I camped, I was always fine because my policy was either camp so remote, so out of sight that nobody's gonna find you, or camp somewhere really busy where everybody knows that you're there, like a busy campsite or place like that. But the two situations that I had, one was somewhere in Patagonia. It was New Year's Eve. I mean, what kind of an idiot rides just before New Year's? Me, it turns out, right? But like the road was completely empty and there was no one there. And I found this like motel, and it was already getting dark, and I was so exhausted because the winds in Patagonia are kind of insane. And I was just done for the day, man. I was done, and it was dark, and I went into the motel. And again, New Year's Eve, right? So maybe it was just a completely normal situation. Maybe I misread it. To this day, I don't know. But I went in and I asked, and immediately there was this kind of crappy vibe. There was like 5 or 6 guys at the bar, and they were already pretty drunk. And the way they kind of looked at me, I was like, oh, okay, this is not great. And then I asked the guy who looked like the receptionist or the owner or whatever, I said, do you guys have any rooms? And they were like, oh, yeah, we got rooms. Oh, you can totally stay here. Not in a nice way at all. And again, maybe I misread the situation, but I was just like, okay, cool. I'm going to go now. And I just got the hell out of there because it just felt like if I stayed, man, I don't know. And then I slept on the side of the road in my tent, which sounds a lot more unsafe, but I felt much safer in the tent 50 kilometers away from those guys than if I would have stayed in that hotel. And another thing was in Chile, and that's when I kind of realized how kind of relaxed I got in all this traveling, because I had to kind of rush. I had to do a border run, so I needed a visa extended for Peru. So I went to Chile, and then I was going to come back to Peru. I just needed 1 day to extend my visa. But again, it was like Christmas or something like that, and I stayed in this hostel, and I got in, and they closed the gate, so there was no way out. But it's a hostel, right? It's fine. There's loads of people. It's all good. Well, loads of people turned out to be a bunch of drunk dudes on some kind of, I don't know, coke, whatever they were on. But they were just off their faces on something. And it was all guys. And the owner was really shit-faced at that point. And they were like, yeah, just stay with us. And they showed me a dorm. I asked for a private room. They said, no, we only have dorms. And then there was a bunch of guys in that dorm, and everybody's drunk. Everybody's on some kind of drugs. I don't know. Everybody's having a party. And I'm just like, I don't feel like staying here, actually, because there's, if anything happens, there's nobody to stop these dudes at all. And I asked the owner to open the gate for me, please. I'm going to find another place. And he was like, no, you're staying here. And I'm like, no, please open the gate now. I'm leaving. And he's like, no, you're not. And in that split second, I realized how unprepared I was. I just entered Chile. It was literally just after the border, the first town. I did not have a Chilean SIM card. I did not know the number for 911 in Chile, for police, or anything like that. And in that split second, I was like, you idiot. But luckily, I managed to kind of de-escalate the situation. I was like, no, please, I'm going to have to go, blah, blah, blah. I found some excuses, something. And they were really angry at me as well. But eventually, they did open the gate and I left. But that was not funny because it could have gone a completely different direction. But funnily enough, these are the situations within hotels or hostels, not camping. Camping, I never had anything funny happening.
Cool. Leah, your turn.
Before I'm going to start with my horrible story, I just want to say that because when people hear this, they might be like, oh my God, that is really horrible stories that we all told now. But I think we as well have to people have to realize that if you put yourself out there and you meet new people and are in new situations every day, that would as well happen if I do the same in Germany, because this is just what happens to women. And this is not a thing that happens in countries abroad. This is a thing that as well happens in our home countries. So my horrible story is when I was at the border from Uzbekistan to Tajikistan, and I went to the border, and you all guys know it. You come to these borders and you don't know who is actually responsible, because everybody is in kind of a military thing, and you have no clue who you have to go to. So I went in and this guy was like, hey, come in, you have to get in here to get everything done. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I followed him, he closed the door, and I was sitting there, and he didn't do anything. So I put out my passport. I was like, should we do this now? Then he looked at me and he was like, I think it's very hot today. And I was like, yeah, I think so too. And I took off my jacket because it was so hot. And then he was like, oh, what is your pants made of? And he put his hand on my leg. And I was like, mesh, but that's not your business. And then he was like, yeah, but you could take off your pants as well. And I was like, no. And then he continued saying things like this. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm getting very uncomfortable now, but I don't know if he needs to stamp my passport or anything. And at one point, someone knocked and opened the door. And it was another guy from the military there. And he looked in and he was like, what the fuck are you doing in there? You don't need to go to him. And I was like, wow, okay. So this is basically, before I was not so scared, actually, when I was sitting there. I just thought he would kind of talk weird stuff. But afterwards, I realized, I was in a room, nobody knew that I was there. He could have done whatever. And otherwise, I never felt so unsafe at borders because there is so much police and military and all of that. So I always think that's probably not the place where something happens. But that for me was kind of like a wake up moment that this is the places where you maybe feel safer, or maybe not the places where you actually are safe.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I think this is really the scariest part, maybe, when you can't necessarily trust law enforcement officers abroad. Not everywhere, again, and these are hopefully just horrible exceptions, but I had a run-in with a Peruvian police officer and his hand ended up on my leg and stuff like that, and that was a pretty disgusting experience as well, because you do not expect that from a police officer, and that was pretty jarring, let's just say.
Okay, next question. This is a question from my one of my followers on Instagram, because I did, when I was publishing the whole thing about us getting together. Okay, girls, how to pick up a bike in the middle of nowhere? Can you pick up your own bikes?
Hard work, man.
Yeah, you can? Any situation? You pick up your
No.
own bike.
No, not every no, definitely not Suzuki.
not
It's
if
too
it's-
heavy.
On a slope
But
or on
normally,
a hill
You
or
do pick it up, right?
yeah, right, of course.
Sometimes
I
when
as
it's
well-
downhill.
I
In the
find
mud.
it
Hill, no
fun.
way.
But of course, I think that, I mean, the message I want to discuss with you guys, like, do not choose the bike that you can't pick, because that's a risk, isn't it? If you travel solo, you need to be capable of picking up your own bike with luggage, without whatever. We always have the system. But, you know, like, I was always picking up my 800, like, there's no tomorrow. And then I had this crash in Mongolia, you know, this surgery that I just had done. And when I was leaving Europe with really weak leg, I dropped my bike somewhere and I couldn't pick it up. My legs were just too weak. And it just made me realize sometimes, you know, you can have injury. You can have, like, I don't know, something wrong with your back, or like maybe it's temporary. And sometimes you cannot pick up your bike, or sometimes it's just literally like last time I dropped my bike was on a sunny path in South Africa. It was like facing, you know, I know I have to hold the luggage off. Like, nah, I'm not doing it. I'll give it 5 minutes. Someone's going to ride this road. I'm not going to pick it up. Of course, if you have to, you do it. But why would you strain yourself, right? Like, you have to just like manage it, like, you know, like never any other way. And most of the time when you drop our bikes, someone will walk somewhere at some stage, unless it's Mongolia or Australia. But apart from that, there will be always people. So sometimes it's not even necessary to take your luggage off if it's in awkward situation, and people help you. But I think before you leave for a trip like this, make sure you can pick up your bike. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's as well that's very funny, I think, because you go to all this. I mean, I went like to one off-road training or something like that before I went, and everybody was like, you have to pick up your bike. And then in the schools, basically what they do is put your bike somewhere on a flat ground where it's probably dry, and you're like, yay, that's easy. And then you drop your bike somewhere in the mud where actually you can't even stand yourself because it's so slippery. And you're like, how the fuck am I doing this? I have like no traction between my boots and this bike. Not gonna work. So I think that's situations. I mean, I don't know. I think I have been in very bad mud in Tajikistan, and there would have been no way that I would have been able to put up the bike alone. Luckily, people came by because it was so slippery. I still don't know what to do if you're just slipping away and slipping
exactly.
away.
If you're on slippery ground, it's very hard. Definitely. I mean, it's not you. But at least in normal situation, you're able to do that. Of course, there will be situations where you can't, and that's okay. I mean, the same with choosing what bike you're going to be on. And, there's no right or wrong. Just choose the bike you like. And if you can pick it up and you deal with the weight, go for it, right? It doesn't matter. Like, someone likes, at the end of the day, even if you really push for off-road, 10% of your round-the-world trip is off-road, you really need to look for tracks. You cannot do off-road all the time because this is not planet Earth, or you've got limited time, so you cannot just continue and continue and continue. So at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable. That's why I'm choosing, dual sport bike. I'm not going on a little, 250 or 450. Of course, it will be much easier, and of course, it will be stressless, but off-road. But at the end of the day, we have to cover a lot of kilometers on road, and yeah, for me, comfort is main thing when I'm choosing when I chosen my bike. What about you? That's off the topic.
For me too. Actually, I mean, I have not a comparison because I traveled with the Triumph 800 with the Tiger for such a long time, which I think is more comparable to the GS. Maybe we do that in the next chat. Talk about our bikes and the equipment.
Let's do that. Technical stuff and our bikes. Okay, next question. You ready? Hold on. Okay. Have you ever been sick, and how you dealt with it? What was worst that happened to you in terms of health on the road?
For me, it's food poisoning. I think that's. I think I've never been like really sick. I burnt my eyes once in the desert because I had to wait at the border, and I didn't protect my eyes. I wasn't thinking about it. It was in the Atacama Desert, and it was not very hot, so it was only, I don't know, maybe 5-10 degrees or so at the mountaintop. and the border was closed, and then they opened it after 5-6 hours, and I started to write, and I was tearing, and I was like, "Fuck, what is that?" And I went like to the next place, and then they had Wi-Fi, and I asked a friend of mine what is wrong, and he was like, "Yeah, you probably have like some holes in this skin on your eye," and I was like, "What?" And the only thing that you can do against it is basically staying 2 days or 3 days in a completely dark room so it can heal. So that's what I did. But otherwise, food poisoning. I think that's probably what everyone
Let me
had
guess.
at one
You
point.
had food poisoning in Tajikistan?
In the
I
stand.
did.
It's so funny because when I went to Uzbekistan, people told me like, you go to the stands and you will get food poisoning, and I was like, what?
Tajikistan was the country. Have you?
Yeah, and then
did you get sick in that?
Tajikistan, yeah, Tajikistan.
Me too. Me too.
Really, Nora? You didn't?
I was vegetarian at the moment, so I think that's the trick there.
Yeah. No, that's not the trick. I ate like I was in this weird mountain town, and I went to like a weird Indian restaurant, and it was vegetarian because I was like, I only eat veggies here, and I got this, and I went like home to bed, and the next morning and the next like 3-4 days I was just gone.
Yeah, I was sick after Tajikistan, like 2 weeks. I was out, and that happened after Sinje. You were there with me. The burger in the Sheraton. You were there with us then?
No, but you told me it was right after we met.
Bloody hell! There was like 8 of us, people from hostel, and next to the hostel is Sheraton. So we all, you guys know it, like whoever with like green hostel, right? And we all went for this, Mondays. They had this $10 burgers with a beer, and we went there and just had good burgers, and like half of us got sick. You only get sick in good restaurants. Seriously, when you eat from the road, at least it's fresh. People are buying it. Over there, people don't, I think, and who knows what is there. But yeah, I don't know. When I stayed in this hostel, like I think a week because I couldn't leave, and like people were just dropping like flies. Everyone was getting sick. Like the toilets was so easy.
Well, that was actually in a hostel in Tajikistan where everybody got sick. That I was spared. No, I got dengue in India/Nepal. That was nasty too.
Did you have to stop then for 2 weeks, or could you continue traveling?
No, well, I kept on riding because my parents were waiting for me, or they were about to come to Pokhara, and I was supposed to meet them there. So I was like, I'm gonna make it to Pokhara. And then I just arrived looking like a ghost, and they hadn't seen me for 2 or 3 months. And they're like, who the fuck, like, what's wrong with you? And we had this whole hike planned, and we were gonna walk in the mountains, and climb mountain peaks. And you're like, gotta cancel. They stayed in the hotel and in the town with me, trying to nurse me back to health. I was just only capable of sleeping, and they took me to the local hospital, and they gave me antibiotics, which is not helping at all. It makes no sense in taking that when you have dengue, but they gave it to me anyways. I'm like, oh my God, worst place to get sick. But yeah, and pregnancy, does that count as getting sick?
No.
Have you ever broken any bones?
No.
Have you ever had to
knock on wood,
emergency? Like room, whatever, for whatever reason, malaria, whatever, sick, like really sick. No? Have you ever had to use your insurance? Am I the only one that keeps using it? Like every year something happens to me, no matter what. So I think the most important thing, have your traveling insurance, because eventually you will have to see the doctor. Most of the time, sometimes, maybe. You should definitely. Don't you agree? Am I the only one?
No, of course. You should have insurance. I never used it.
Egle, you're very quiet. Have you been sick? Have you used your traveling insurance before?
I have not used my insurance, but I have been very sick. I got dengue as well. So Nora, I feel your pain, man. It's really, really horrible. And I got it twice because I have a special talent for that kind of thing. But dengue isn't really
Oh,
preventable. I mean, mosquito repellent, that's about it. Like, there's no shot for it. There's nothing you can do. And when you do get sick, there's also nothing you can do except try to keep the fever down and drink a lot of water. That's it. Like, there's no treatment. It's just like, you make it or you're done. So that's
Malaria.
That's
What
not
about you,
great.
Sinje?
But
I had dengue fever as well.
Wow.
Yeah, in Guatemala. Yeah. And actually, I mean, it hurts. And I don't know about you guys, but I was really weak for weeks after that happened. I was really, really weak. And like the 2 weeks after, I couldn't ride. I was too weak. I had to stop.
Some people can't shake it off, for a long time. What about girls? Leah and Nora, you guys travel through Africa. Any malaria?
Nope.
Yeah, me not, but I as well. I don't know. I am very with this malaria stuff. I now took these pills that you're supposed to take, like this. How do you say it? Malaria prophylaxis. I was very torn in between if I should take it or not take it. Then in the end, I decided to take it because I was as well not there so super long, and it's just, I don't know. I have a lot of mosquito repellent with me, so I'm really trying to do everything because mosquitoes love me. As soon as there's a mosquito, it will go for me.
Same.
So it's
mosquito
it's
magnet.
really,
And I was convinced that I'm gonna get malaria in Africa. There's no freaking way I can't get it. It's just like they were like everywhere, and I was like spraying crap out of just with the repellent all the time, but they would just keep biting me. It's like, there's no way I cannot have malaria. And it's like, I'm arriving to place, and it's so funny in Africa. I don't know, Nora, did you experience that on the East Coast? You arrive, you go, and you're arriving to Ethiopia, and you want repellent. No repellents.
Yeah.
You can have malaria here. Oh, no, it's okay. It's Vaseline. Okay. So, at least I do not have the tablets. So this is how I travel. I have 3 tests for malaria from different brands, and I'm arriving to the country, and I'm buying malaria tablets for the country because there are 4 different types, so you never know. So I always have that in my first aid, and I never had any precaution pills, whatever you call them. I wasn't taking that, but I was so convinced I'm going to get it. I was so prepared. Like the moment I enter a country, that's it. I need to be prepared for malaria. I'm going to get it, right? I had this seriously paranoia, and I didn't get it. I don't know how I'm going to get it. I'm kind of disappointed because I was so prepared for it. I just sometimes now I think I wish I could experience all of that, because I was like, I'm getting malaria, not once, probably a few times, and it didn't happen. But what about now I touched on first aid kit. Do you guys carry first aid kit, and what do you carry in them?
Of course, I have one, but it's not very elaborate in the sense that I'm not very capable of doing anything to myself. So there's not much more than basic betadine and plasters and some tape. That's basically the only useful. And a thermometer, very useful.
Thermometer, that's it. Do you have any antibiotics if you get sick, you have infection?
Nope.
Nothing? What about you girls? Maybe because I'm Polish, and I have actually 2 first aid kits with me, like pills for any occasion, like for stomach ache, for flu, for just name it, I have it with me. And then plus malaria pills from every country I go to. I think this is the Polish people are quite paranoid about pills and generally about just a medication. But it's just my peace of mind, if I can be by myself, and I will have pill for that if I get sick at any stage. And then I don't know, maybe because I had to go to the doctor so many times because I just keep doing stuff to myself. I'm just really prepared for emergency, and most of my emergency, all this toolbox, this first aid kit I'm using on people. It's like you meet people. Oh, you're sick. Oh, I've got it. Wait. Oh, you got a wound. Oh, I've got a really good Aussie way of healing the wounds, and all this. I've got it all. So I'm pretty much using it for other people, which is at least I'm helpful. You know what I mean? That's nice.
Yeah,
what about
I agree.
Do you carry a lot of medications?
I carry not so much. I carry, I think, like what every doctor when you go to travel would suggest you to carry, like one antibiotic and like, I don't know, like plasters and all that stuff. And I as well think that, I mean, in most countries, I would probably, if I'm not somewhere in the jungle off away for like 2 weeks of civilization, you probably find like a pharmacy somewhere. And I would very likely go to that before I take antibiotics by myself that I carried with me. So I never used any of those, and I would always probably consult another pharmacy or doctor or something first. But it's, I think, just for the peace of mind a little bit, because you have it with you. And that I had the same experience. I always give stuff to other people because I don't know if we can say that to you, if that is like advertising for medicine, because I have like this thing for the stomach that is like natural. How do you say, if you have like diarrhea, it's like a natural thing that you can take, and it's actually very good. And I always give it to people, and because they are like, oh, I don't know what to do. Should I take this Imodium, which stops it, or should I stop traveling, or I have this and that? I'm always like, no, take this. It's very good. So for these, this is basically as well the only things that I use. And I now in West Africa, I actually carry a lot of electrolyte. Do you say this?
Oh, yeah, electrolyte.
To spice my drinks up with, because the food that you get is not so super nutritious. I mean, you basically always get rice and things like that, and not so much other things. So for me, it was always very good to know that you have a little bit like that you can put in your water that gives you a little bit back.
And Egle, you're Lithuanian. Are you guys obsessed with medications in Lithuania?
No. We do not even take paracetamol if we can cure something with tea or herbs or stuff like that. No. So we kind of have like a very basic first aid kit, kind of like what Nora said. And I try to focus on eating healthy on the road. Of course, it's not always possible. There are certain areas, certain regions or countries where you just, whatever is available, that's what you're going to eat. But in general, I kind of I've recently gone vegan. Well, recently, a few months ago, actually. And that's been working out pretty great. So I just try to kind of keep healthy as we go along. And then, dengue, I mean, again, that's just not something that you can prevent. I had a very stupid health situation where I got hypothermia, and that was completely my fault. It was just a very, very stupid decision to go out and ride in the snow. And I didn't have any proper gear. I was in blue jeans and some construction boots and like a regular jacket. So that was just dumb on my part, but that was like 7 or 6 years ago, didn't know any better, was young and stupid. So don't do that. But I got really severe hypothermia, ended up in a hospital, and thank God that somebody found me. Otherwise, I don't know, probably wouldn't be here. But that's entirely like my own fault. And like, I guess, do your research before you go. Like if you need to get shots, vaccines, whatever, like if you go to Brazil, you might need, I guess, yellow fever, whatever. Just what's required, do that, have that first aid thing. But in the end, I don't think, if you're going to start worrying about what kind of illness or sickness you might get,
you'll never leave.
Like if you start worrying about what might happen, you're never going to leave. I mean, shit's going to happen. Like,
and you will deal with it. You just deal with it when it comes. You cannot be prepared for everything, right? And I agree with that. Same with the bike. It will break at some stage. Something got to go wrong. Like you cannot just carry all the spare parts all the time. So for sure.
That's it.
And Sinje, was your first aid kit? Basic?
Well, so very basic. But I did take antibiotics and also ibuprofen with me. And that's also what I actually used on the trip. Everything else I didn't. Yeah.
Okay.
I have 2 questions of our followers here.
Yes.
Our live chat.
Sorry.
There is one question about water. How do we deal with water to keep water drinkable or safe, or how do we get water that we drink?
Yeah, I've got filtering pills, and I have Liat water bladder that filters it for me. That's all I do. What about you? And I buy just bottle of water. Normally.
Yeah, I buy bottled water too. It's a shame, but I as well buy bottled water, and I have some iod pills that you can put into the water if you don't know exactly where it's coming from.
Exactly. What about you, girl? Do you have a filter? I know XC Adventures, they carry filter because they do wild camping all the time, and they take water from the rivers, and they just have this like handy filter, but it does take a lot of space. But if you use it all the time, it makes sense. 2 bikes, you can you can pack up. But when you're by yourself, it's quite a big thing to carry. So do you have any filters, Nora? Because you're traveling together, do you have any filters for taking?
Yes, we do have a water filter with us. It is not meant. Well, it only filters half a liter per go, so it's really slow. So it's really more for emergency situations. And we also buy a lot of bottled water. But also in Africa, man, you're driving through the desert. Where the F do you think you're gonna find water? So it was way easier traveling through all the stands where there was just fresh water running down the mountains.
You could just, like in Mongolia, you pull over anywhere. You can buy bottles of water in the shop, no worries. That wasn't a problem. But where I had to, for the first time, use my cleaning pill in Sudan. So I was, you're probably saying, like, if you want to camp, you have to stick to the Nile River, and all these villages along the Nile River, you cannot buy bottled water, because why would they? They live next to the Nile River, and they just literally take the water from there, right? And I'm like, first village, second village, no water. And I'm like, 50 degrees nearly. I'm like, I'm going to die. Like, I need to drink all the time. I'm going to die. And I pulled over, and this is actually on my video. I pulled over to this beautiful family, and it's like, water? Yeah. Nile water. And it's like in a big tank, water from the Nile. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die from all these parasites now. So I put it in my bladder. And then at that time, I didn't have that filter that Leah released, that you can actually put the filter in the tube, so you don't have to worry about the pills anymore. But, you have to wait half an hour, and I was so thirsty. And they made me, they made me breakfast, and I'm sitting there with them, and I'm just like shaking it, please, the pill dissolve. I just want to have a sip of water. But so that was the only time when I actually used these pills, and I'm carrying them for 3 years. And that was the only time when I had to use them, because everywhere else you can actually buy bottles of water.
Yeah.
Cool.
Another question from the followers. Can I still ask this, Kinga, or are we already in the plan somewhere else?
No plan. Roll tonight.
To the wild camping, did you meet any wild animals, or how do you encounter wild animal meetings?
For me, really, Australia is the country where you meet the wildlife when you do wild camping, because there's so many kangaroos everywhere. There's so many wombats, and snakes don't come out.
I love wombats.
You don't have to worry about them. But in Australia, I really slept on the tables or outside. If I could elevate myself and that would be a picnic table, I wouldn't even set up my tent. Of course, on the ground, I wouldn't sleep. I would just put the mesh or whatever, and then I would sleep. But it was the most beautiful time when I could just lie on a picnic table, and all these kangaroos hopping, and you could hear them. I had to have earplugs in, because they were just like bang, bang. And then the wombats come in, and that was really cool. Okay, that was in Africa. There was no lions. There was no elephants. But I've heard so many stories. Nora, did you have this situations in Botswana where elephants were walking next to your tent, and that's what they do? They will not step on you. I've heard so many stories. People set up, camping, tents, and those elephants, they were just literally they know you're there, and they will just eat branches, and then you hear them, you wake up, you see the footprints, but they will not destroy your tent, or they will not step on you unless they're very thirsty. Then you have to be very scared of them, because even if you have a drop of water in a bottle in your tent, they will come after it. So if there's no droughts, elephants are safe, and they'll be okay. I think my biggest worry, and even considering Africa, my biggest worry as a wild camper would be countries like Canada or the States or Siberia, where you have bears.
I have been in with a bear.
And they're no joke. So I think that was these animals are only concern to me. All the other animals you can deal with, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, bears are not funny, man. I had a run-in with one in Colorado. It actually attacked my bike. I did not see any of that though, because we were camping in a campsite and we were told not to leave any food in the tent or anywhere near us, to put all the food in these specific metal containers, stuff like that, which we did. But I forgot a piece of cucumber in my pannier, and that was enough somehow. But I didn't hear anything because somebody pitched a tent next to us, and that person was snoring so loud, I swear to God, it was just impossible to sleep. So I put some earplugs in, and then all of a sudden I'm waking up and somebody's shining their torch on our tent. I'm like, oh great, somebody's drunk, can't find their tent or something. So I crawl out and I see my bike is laying on its side, and that guy is just freaking out, going like, dude, a bear is eating your bike. I'm like, what? So apparently a bear tried to break into my pannier, and then it had claw and and teeth marks and everything on the pannier, but it tried to get to the little cucumber because it's September as well, and that's when the bears are trying to gorge on anything green. That's what the campsite owner told us anyway. But I never actually saw the bear, so I don't know how scary it actually was.
I
But
think adventure riders from Canada, they're freaking scary. And I think that this is what everyone says. In Siberia is saying, if you camp, you cannot keep food in your tent. Put it 500 meters away from your tent, hanging on a tree, whatever, because otherwise they they will just go in and they rip you apart. So yeah, I think bears are bad. Everything else is fine. Snakes are good. I mean, snakes, they're warm, so it's only when it's daylight. It's only when it's sunny, and don't go into the grass. I mean, now it's being Aussie kicks in. It's all these rules. There's go with a stick, and snakes are not interested in you unless you step on them or you disturb them. So it's not a problem. Spiders, yeah, sure, we have some serious spiders in Australia, but then again, you just zip it, wear boots, wear long pants, and you're fine. And what else? Sharks are bad, but then you don't have to.
Baboons.
That's why you don't surf, Kinga, right? We had a discussion in Australia.
I'm not surfing. No way, man. There's sharks. Sharks are mean. No.
That was funny. Because I went surfing in Australia and she was like, oh my God, how can you do that?
No way. No. Swimming, yes. In Australia, seriously, when I go to the beach in Australia, it's I go in up to there. No sharks, swim and get out. I'm so paranoid. I don't know. I think that, maybe I am scared of animals, but only bears and sharks, and everything else is fine. Do have phobia for sharks. So that's why, forget about surfing. No way. All right.
And
what else? I think I'm pretty much out of my questions.
Here's one more from a
anything
follower.
else you would like to add?
Here's one more from a follower. He asked about how to prevent people taking your things if we do anything to.
One. Sure.
Yeah.
Have you had anything stolen from you? Yes?
Yep, twice.
What?
Egle, who stole your shit and where? We saw them out.
I got robbed twice from the same country, which was Ecuador. I do not have a grudge against Ecuador, by the way. It was just totally random. Once, so somebody, I parked my bike because I typically, if I'm camping, then I'll park my bike next to my tent. But if I'm in a hotel, hostel, whatever, I'll try to find one with safe parking, right? Like a garage or indoor, whatever, courtyard, something, whatever. So I found one, and it was a sketchy looking border town, but I was just tired and exhausted, whatever. And I found this hotel. I was like, okay, they have secure parking. They have this big locked gate, and inside it should be safe. And I double checked with the hotel owner if they do lock it at night, and they were like, yeah, this is perfectly safe. You can leave your bike here, no problem at all. We're going to lock the big gate. It's going to be great. And I'm like, fantastic. And I did not take one of the bags off the bike because I had a smaller bag that I would always take off. And the other one, I just couldn't be bothered. I left it there because, it's great. Secure parking, big gate. It's all locked. It's all great. Well, it wasn't. In the morning, the bag was gone. Now, it was just full of crap, really, like some old clothes and then, just stuff like that. But it was my crap, so it hurt a little bit. And I was just mostly pissed off that the hotel owner told me it's perfectly safe, and then it wasn't. So it clearly was like an inside job, maybe, I don't know, because the gate remained locked. So it was kind of strange. But I mean, nothing super valuable was stolen, so it doesn't really matter. And the second time was in Ecuador again. I think it was Cuenca or Quito, one of the super touristy places, and I had a few Cuba Libres, quite a few of those. And I just wasn't paying as much attention, and somebody stole my backpack. But this time it was bad because I had like $400 in cash. I just got the money out of an ATM. My cards, my stuff like that, my phone, my tablet, all of that got stolen. So that was not great. But I mean, that can happen just about anywhere in the world. You don't have to go anywhere remote and exotic and far away. So I like I said, I don't have a grudge against Ecuador. It's just bad luck. That's all it was. So, but after that, nothing. Never.
That's really good to hear. What about you, Sinje? You're very quiet today.
So I didn't get anything stolen, but one time someone opened up both of my panniers overnight. I was in Isfahan, Iran, and I actually parked my motorcycle next to security in a hotel garage. And so I was 100% sure that no one would open or do anything to my bike. And the next morning when I was putting myself onto the bike, I saw that both of the panniers were open. And I opened it and nothing was stolen. So someone just opened it to look inside. I don't really know. So I immediately talked to the security guy who was sitting right next to the motorcycle. Who said, oh, no, not me. And then I talked to management who said, yeah, they can check the camera and everything. They apologized as well, but I couldn't do anything. And only months after, I realized that maybe it was, kind of like Secret Service, just checking my stuff, not taking anything, just seeing what I have. Because it's weird that nothing was taken. Yeah, that's the only time that someone opened up my stuff. But then all the time when I was on the road, I was never really afraid that someone would take my stuff. I don't have a tank bag. I only have my both two aluminum panniers and then my big roll on the back. The only situations that I was a bit worried were when I was at borders, where I would have to leave the bike someplace and then go inside buildings, go get photocopies of whatever I needed and just run around, and you can always you cannot always have it, look at your bike and you cannot always see what happens to it. And there's so many people walking around, so I was always kind of worried that something would happen there, but nothing ever happened, so I was pretty lucky.
I've basically left a lot of things on my bike, which is, I always think maybe I'm lucky with that nothing gets stolen, because I sometimes, especially when you're traveling alone, you sometimes don't have so much a choice besides of leaving everything on your bike if you want to see something. In Australia, actually, I went many times on little half-day hikes and just left a bike because I knew I would not stay there and not camp there. So I had even my, my big bag where all my clothes are in on the back of the bike, took on my sneakers, put on my motorcycle boots, and went for a half-day hike on a big parking place with basically everything on my bike.
Wow.
And I mean, that's maybe stupid, but I was as well I don't know what else to do, because I at the moment I don't have other place to store these things, and I just still want to see this nature or this thing. So
give it away
several times, huh?
Give it away.
Yeah.
I actually never had anything stolen from me. I lose things and I leave them behind and I break things, but actually nothing ever got stolen from me. I'm hopeless. I spent fortune on my cameras, GoPros, phones, drones, and I wish I was so pro at all this, cinematography and doing the videos. And it's worth it. But you know what? For what it is what it is. But no one ever stolen anything from me. What else? People ask us. Do you have local panniers? Yes, we do. I have my panniers are local. What about you girls?
Nope. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It is important. You can get soft ones, rigid ones. You can get hard panniers. But I think it's important to be able to lock it or have some security system on them. And it's really not when you camp. It's only when you go to the cities and you want to, I don't know, you leave your bike and you want to, I don't know, grab some groceries or whatever. It's just like peace of mind. It's easy, so it's better to have it.
I actually have soft bags, but I have these like steel wire, what you call it, like lockable straps that go around them.
Yeah,
and oftentimes people tell me, well, but if somebody really wants to steal your shit, they'll get like bolt cutters, whatever. You can actually cut them.
And they will do it with any luggage you have on. But most of this, the theft is opportunity.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
They grab it, like in Mongolia or Africa, they will grab it. Anything that it's not attached to your bike, no one will come with a cutter. So like it's just like too much logistics involved. Most of the theft is done by opportunity. So just have everything attached, so it's not easy to grab. Because that's what's missing from like overlanders. GPS was there, phone was there, right? So it's like something easy to grab. Otherwise, unless it's, you know, you leave your bike outside of the hostel. And seriously, I never, like in Africa, Central Asia, I never thought someone can steal my bike or stuff out of there because I had everything secured and I had always bike cover. Do you guys travel with a bike cover?
No.
I think it's the best anti-theft solution. I have nothing else except for the cheap bike cover that really rolls like this and it fits, you know, on one of those bags on a engine guard. And I put it even in Mongolia, in the freaking middle of nowhere. I knew I'll set up my tent and there'll be Mongolians like, I don't know, going there with a cattle, whatever. And they will like, what's there? So I would just, in the middle of nowhere, put bike cover on and they don't know. And then they were whistling to me, like, get out from the tent, right? Like, you know, who's there? I'm like, no. So many better experiences with Mongolians. I'm just there. Like, I'm not getting out. That's it. So they probably think it's a man and he's asleep or whatever. And then they didn't bother me. But the bike didn't drive their attention. But, you know, Chile, she's like freaking overloaded as hell. Plus, she's got all this like bags hanging around. And then tools as well, like hammer and all sorts of stuff that you can grab. But if you put the bike cover, and I do it every time I stop anywhere, really, it's like my security. I just put it on, take it off, and I feel like she's so much safer. I don't know. And plus she's got the stickers. She's like, she does. Yeah, she's just like out there when you like in remote countries. Especially in Africa, whatever. So like, it's just covered with a black sheet. No one knows what it is. No one wonders.
I know you carry it, but where the fuck do I put it, man? We're traveling with 2 12-liter saddle panniers. Where do I put it?
It's like this.
There's no space. How many liters are your panniers? They're like.
Did you see my luggage?
Yes, that's my point.
Yeah, your luggage is huge.
No, but it's actually on my. I keep it so it's easy access on those little bags that I have, long rider bags that I fitted on my engine guards. That's where.
No, seriously, I don't have space for that.
Because you're minimalist and you just like your luggage is just not enough for all the things. My one is enough for everything.
I made it to the other side of Africa. What do you mean it's not enough?
For everything. I've got space for everything. But I'm frustrated if I don't take this, like I try. I'm 3 years on the road. I tried to go lighter, but I can't. I need all this shit. But hey, it's my bike and my pain.
And your life.
Exactly. And my hard work when it comes to sand and mud. Shit.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, guys, you wish to ask? I think we're gonna wrap it. Girls? Anything else you wish to know? Hold on, I'm going to prepare for the great finale.
Woo.
Oh, I think
some tunes. Metallica, hey? That's about it.
Bravo!
Oh, thank you. Well, Nora, I would do this for you if you were joining us on time, but that's okay. We forgive you.
Okay, thank you. I was riding the bike, honestly, so a great excuse in my opinion.
Okay, so I think it's time to wrap it up. Guys, all the guys who contribute to our conversation and everyone, we had over 400 people joining us live today. And you girls, thank you all so much. I was very nervous, you know, and I'm on a lot of drugs today because of my surgery and all. And I was just like not really there, but I think it went all smooth. You can't really tell I'm on drug, eh? No, maybe. Do you? And if any one of you who were joining us tonight missed our first live chats, first one was on Nora's channel, second one was on Egle, and now, this is the most important thing I'm supposed to say today. Leah just started her YouTube channel. She'll be sharing with you first. All the videos, upcoming videos will be from Western Africa, which is so freaking difficult to do. And it's a big challenge. So please subscribe to her channel. And next live video will be definitely on her channel. Thank you so much, girls, for all this. And everyone else who was joining us. And all the links below. Subscribe to everyone. And love you all.
Like and see you in the next.
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, girls. Bye.
Bye.